It's a short week, but we do not have a short show. No, we have a giant show as we always do. It's Tuesday, so Elliott Shore-Parks joins us at 3 o'clock for the entire hour. Jordan Mailata will join us at 4 to talk about their dominant performance on Sunday night. Flyers in 50 returns at 4:30 today.
Ooh.
Little Broads action, and then the top 5 at 5 o'clock.
Did they win last night?
I don't know.
No, I think they lost in a shootout.
Yeah, because they were up 2-0.
Yeah, well, listen, goalie issues per usual, I think. Although Michkov, he was showing off some vision. He had a game winner on Saturday.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Oh, man, the Michkov mania was out of control. We almost had to do emergency Flyers in 50 on Sunday.
Yeah,
I
can't believe we've waited so long. I'm sure Broads is going to want to do the Flyers in 50 as if it were on Sunday, but I'm not going to allow him to do that. So I start off the show today thinking about our football team and our head coach. You know, Ike, you're a Sirianni guy.
Yes.
I am a Sirianni guy. I have been converted over the last, 6 weeks, I would say, or so. And we learned yesterday that Jack now is coming to the side of being a Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, it makes me nervous.
Yeah, a little suspicious of that one. A little suspicious of that one.
Listen, I keep it real on this program,
All right.
especially when it comes to the Eagles.
So here's what I'm thinking. Nick Sirianni's contract is up after next season, and I would give Nick Sirianni a contract extension right now. I do believe he's earned it.
Stop it.
No, I do. I would. And let me explain to you why I think not only he's earned it, but I think it is good for the coach, it's good for the organization, it is good for the team. So the Eagles have a history of extending guys before they actually need the contract, with their players at least. They take care of the players that they want to see in midnight green for several years. They give them the extensions early. They do it with players all the time. And I think it would be good for the team. I think it would be good for the org. I think it would be good for Sirianni for them to do the very same thing they do with the players with him. And here's why I think so. First of all, I think he's earned it. I think as Elliott and Howard have told us repeatedly over the last several days, he has the best winning percentage of any current NFL coach right now. He has not won a Super Bowl, but he's been to a Super Bowl. He will be in the playoffs, we think, knock on wood, once again this year.
Unless another collapse is coming, then
Yes,
we have to worry
yes.
about that extension.
He has righted the ship, with a lot of talent. But from what happened at the end of last year, I think it would be fair for us all to say that we're all worried or at least had our eyes open that it could happen again. And in fact, it's gone the other way. It sort of seems like they have rallied together and they get better and better and better every week. But here's the reason that I think it is most important to give him an extension right now. A confident Nick Sirianni is the best Nick Sirianni. And we saw at the beginning of this season when nobody, quote, knew what his job was, he made his worst decisions when I thought he was trying to prove his value, prove his worth early in the year. His decisions in game didn't seem to line up with what we had seen about Nick Sirianni previously. And I think going into the home stretch of the season, going into the playoffs, having a Nick Sirianni that isn't worried about trying to prove his value to anyone, whether it's the national media, the local media, Howie Roseman, Jeff Lurie, I think we are going to get the most effective Nick Sirianni if he is not worried about his job, if he knows that he has the confidence of the players, but if he knows he has the confidence of the organization too. So I would give him that confidence. I would reward him for a job well done. I would reward the team for playing for him, and I would go into the playoffs knowing that Nick Sirianni is the guy not only for this year, but for the future, and I would give Nick Sirianni a contract extension.
Yeah, as much as I like Nick, and believe me, this thing would have to end poorly for him not to get an extension at the end of the season. That's when I would wait to do it. Again, it's not about him not being deserving of it. I think his record speaks for itself. But there's a lot of expectation placed on this team. And, I have to see how this thing unfolds, how it plays out, particularly in the postseason, for me to feel good about moving forward. And again, I like Nick Sirianni. I think Nick Sirianni is a very good football coach. He knows how to relate to his players. He knows how to inspire. He knows how to bring those guys together. Quite frankly, the times that he's faced adversity, I know in the heat of the moment, he wasn't able to pull the team out of the struggles they were in coming down the stretch last year. But I'm not so sure that was completely all on him. He gets held responsible for it, but the players have to do their part and want to play and want to win. I'm not so sure how much of that was part of the issue at the end of the season as well. This year, when you see everybody is motivated and still on the same and striving for the same goal, when they had a little adversity early, they pulled together. Right? He was able to pull them together and get through it. And actually, they've become better since. The future is bright. I really believe that. But this job is a pressure cooker. And when you have this much talent at your disposal, expectations are high. And I can't – the only scenario I could see him not being here next year is if they were to get in the playoffs after they win this division and lose that first playoff game at home. I don't know how you bring him back after that, if that were to happen, right? Like they win the NFC East. Let's say they don't get the number 1 seed, they get the number 2 seed. And that first game is at the Link. And if we're playing Green Bay or Minnesota, right, and if we don't win that game, I don't know how you sell to this fan base that this is the guy you just gave a 2 or 3 year extension to and he's going to be here. Now, the details do matter. Because they could lose the game and it could be the quarterback threw 3 interceptions or whatever, right?
Right,
so,
and Green Bay, Minnesota, both respectable teams.
Yes, solid, and that's why I put those teams there because that's where it could happen at.
Yep.
I would have to wait. It's a little unfair to him because you look at his, like I said, you look at his record and you say, why wouldn't you give him an extension? Especially he's like he's going to make the playoffs 4 straight years. But there's so much pressure on what they do in the postseason that I got to wait until after that's done. I got to wait until after that's done, see what they do, and then I'm happily giving him a 2 or 3 year extension with no problem. It's not he has to go win the Super Bowl. He has to at least win a playoff game. Right? Can we say that? That's the bare minimum? You got to win one playoff game.
Well, I mean, 215-592-9494, would you give Nick Sirianni an extension right now? Look, for it to be a successful season, they have to win a playoff game. Yeah. But I don't know that he needs to win a playoff game for me to say that he's the coach here.
Yeah.
And in fact, I actually, and my position would be, I think you're giving yourself a better chance to win those playoff games if Nick has an extension now. I think the thing that everybody's worried about, I think if we were to ask everyone, what are the 2 things you sort of worry about going into the playoffs? The 2 things would be, well, if just being fair about it, if Jalen has to throw a bunch of times, I'd be worried, and I'm worried about Nick Sirianni's decisions. Those are the 2 things I think that pretty much come up, and I think we have a better chance of getting the best out of Nick Sirianni. I think we have a better chance of getting the best decisions if this thing is settled. If
so he doesn't feel pressure or he doesn't feel the need to do.
He doesn't. If there's not a 4th down decision in a playoff game that he's thinking, well, my whole job could depend on this. And look, their jobs depend on it every game anyway. I think that's just sort of you live and die with that as a coach, but I don't think he needs, I think if he feels like he has to prove something in that way, that thing that we were seeing at the beginning of the year, I think that was him trying to prove his value, and I don't want him doing that in the playoffs. I want him to know his value. You know, like some people respond well with negative feedback, and some people respond well with positive feedback.
Yeah.
And most people, it's positive. And I think Nick is the sort of guy, the more confident he feels, the better Nick Sirianni we're going to get.
Now, wouldn't this sort of go against his sort of messaging? Keep your head down, work, don't drink the perfume, smell it. Like
maybe they should keep it secret.
This is almost as if he's being rewarded and the job's not finished. Mamba mentality. Job's not finished.
It's a good point.
Right? So he's being rewarded and it's not finished. So that's part of the reason why I wouldn't do it. And again, I'm rooting for him because I hope he gets a 2 or 3 year extension after this season.
Yep.
But I got to have a postseason success. I got to have some semblance of success in the postseason with this team.
All right, 215-592-9494. Would you give Nick Sirianni an extension right now?